I am Aaron Lampin, ingracious persona non grata. Let's talk about ads. When a millennial or a zoomer says the word ad, what do they mean? I have a very difficult time having to define this because it's something that's become so ingrained in our culture for so long that we take for granted that it's normal, even natural, for a tremendous swath of our economic presence, of our concept of value, of the way that production is consumed by our society to try to sell people things. It's ridiculous. The amount of money that goes into marketing is outrageous. The way that our society functions is so beyond the pale when it comes to this. And I don't even have time to explain it all, but suffice it to say that there are very few companies out there that are seeing any sales because they have commercials. They know that what they are doing is a cultural permeation. Having calls for cultural permeation from a corporation that is alienated from the people it is trying to sell things to is a serious problem that young people are aware of. Thing is, we also live in a postmodern society where some of that shit is happening in ways that the older generations never had to deal with, and we don't really have language for what it is or how it works. And I don't think we're handling it very well. I would like to tell a story about the presence of Lampe Creative on the internet. During my game development streams, my TTRPG development streams, and things of that nature, I tend to wear the MCDM shirt. I'm a huge fan of Matt Colville's work and of MCDM Productions. I backed the Strongholds and Followers Kickstarter. Very famously, I am working to modify Strongholds and Followers for my own version of Dungeons & Dragons, which is a massive undertaking in and of itself. There's some stuff on stream for having done that, but a lot of it's had to be on the back end because of how sort of weirdly unofficial all of it would have to be. I digress, I'm sure. I'm backing the current project, obviously, because Kingdoms and Warfare is what I wanted more than I wanted Strongholds and Followers. and I would be one of those people, right? I'm definitely the target market for that shit. But the thing is, I'm not a part of the MCDM community, and I know why that happened. But I'm not even exactly sure when. But I know how it started. I was very excited to be a part of all of the things that were going on there. There was a discussion once. He would come out and say something during a live stream, and the whole community would go fucking wild, and the Discord server would just explode. Hundreds of people arguing about the finer points of what the prophet had just spec unto us. A lot of which I was actually really annoyed by because they don't seem to have watched it in many instances. They seem to just be caught up in the furor of it all, and then they didn't have time to watch the video or only watched clips of it and had no idea what the hell was even happening. When I first started with the MCDM Discord, I started seeking out other Discords as well, and a lot of those Discords I found because they were sharing their stream information in the community streams channel, which is a normal thing for a lot of these Discord servers. Most of the Discord servers that I am a part of now have a place for people to share their content. And usually it gets muted and very few people see it. But when we're done with Lampe Creative live streams, we raid one of a handful of people I only know about because we were part of that. And they only know about me and about Lampe Creative and about the work that my friends and co-hosts do because of our presence being shared in that Discord servers, mostly muted by most users' channel. The reason that we were participating in a lot of these Discords ultimately was to build community. That's what all of this was always about. That's what Discord is. Discord is community. But when MCDM became a company and that Discord became an arm of that company, the people put in charge of managing it decided that having other people's content was not appropriate. When I asked if there was a place for us to be able to share, they said that they didn't want to have anything that wasn't to do with MCDM in the server because it's too much like ads. During an episode of the Chain of Akron, pretty much all of the PCs and NPCs at the table at the time used all of the strongholds and followers content that they had at their disposal because they had it. And this was an all-out battle with the player character's organization's new nemesis. It was inevitable that they'd use everything they had, and that included these things. The chat started spamming that this had just become a commercial for strongholds and followers, which is, well, not really true. If you were going to do that, there are better, faster, easier, more efficient ways of doing it than having it come up during a live stream of a tabletop role-playing game, which, by the way, a lot of people who play these games and who consume these products don't watch live play. And there are a lot of people who watch live play who don't play, which is very peculiar. As a sociologist, I'm very interested in that. So what is an ad? What do they mean it's too much like ads? Something in there that seems like it's not particularly germane, that takes attention away from the reason they think people should be there. But there are actual ads, in a manner of speaking, because that Discord obviously has updates, talks about, and teasers for MCDM products. Naturally, it's their Discord server. So if you're trying to get rid of something because it's too much like ads, how are you going to sell the products that you're pushing to your community? Whole channels are given over to talking about the products that they provide. All they did was make sure that the community would stop growing. I don't even think they knew that. Not that it needs to be bigger, I guess. A lot of LeftTube turns out this way also. A lot of LeftTube turns into having a cathedral at which the prophet, in some cases almost literally, a religious organization. And they really do have a leader who talks about their form of leftist religious politics, and everybody's there to be preached at in the choir by the preacher. By an actual preacher who is actually preaching. So I'm in a Facebook group with one too. He's brilliant, but that's what it is. That Discord group, by the way, does have a place for people to share their content. Other Facebook groups that I was in, I'm pretty much in order to try to get players for Nostria. It helps to be able to share D&D content, sure, but I'm not under any illusions about how undigestible our live play content is. It's one of the reasons why I edit it down. Well, the idea was to edit it into actual episodes, but I'd need a real editor for that as opposed to just, some asshole would-be grad student who feels like he constantly has to work in order to be able to live with himself or be inebriated, but apparently my bowels aren't going to take that anymore, so work it is. When I would share some of these videos, which are very brief, that talk about what Nostria is. Nostria is the homebrew setting of the homebrew version of Dungeons & Dragons that we play as a West Marches style game on our Discord server. So in looking for group channels, I would put the video. I was asked not to in the MCDM community. They didn't see that I was looking for players. They saw that it was a video. Content of that video is irrelevant because it's a video that wasn't produced by Matt Colville and therefore does not belong in the community. I shared it in some of these Facebook groups. I was asked not to, because they said that sharing your video content is too much like ads. That is actually what they said. Too much like ads. They literally have ads. They literally have ads for 5th edition materials. Most of what those Facebook groups are given over to are people advertising their DM's Guild products. And that's understood. That's what it's there for. And people go, this one's particularly cool in the comments, and people discuss how things might be improved or might be different, and that inspires somebody to make their own, and then they make a different one, and they share it on there. It's basically a glorified marketplace. It is ads. It's overwhelmingly ads. But you can't have a YouTube video up there, because it's too much to ask that somebody would be expected to watch a YouTube video. But in one of them that was for looking for groups, the fact that this was a video trying to recruit people into a Discord server to play Dungeons & Dragons was irrelevant to them. Because a YouTube video is itself the ad. That's what they mean by ad. They do not mean the 5th edition materials that people are selling to each other. They do not mean people talking about Curse of Strahd, which for some reason every 4 months somebody shares Curse of Strahd and there's a new thread about it. Curse of Strahd is peculiarly endearing. The other ones, not so much. Anytime a new product comes out from Wizards of the Coast, obviously, they're all fucking over the place, and everybody's talking about it. So what's happening here is that the concept of avoiding what we think of as ads, regardless of whether or not they're advertisements, is causing us to alienate our potential or even already existing community. We're pushing people out of our community for fear that the things that they are sharing with us aren't the ads we want to see. Even when the stuff that we are pushing out of our community are in no way even relatable to ads. We just have to make sure that nobody might be uncomfortable by being exposed to the existence of content, much of which is really bad. I just watched a video. I might even have to make some kind of response video too, because some of the stuff that they said is extremely disturbing. Because what they think Dungeons & Dragons is should probably be fairly offensive to anybody who played it before there were Discord servers. That's a matter for another time. Possibly even another one of these. It's been a long time since I've done a persona non gracious, and that's because they're extremely self-indulgent. And I have more pressing matters to attend to, but I think that this one could be very important because I need people to understand in all of our communities what it is that we are risking when we willfully alienate one another for what we think is the best interests of our community. The people you're alienating are your community. They're some of the most vocal, thoughtful members, and you're trying to get rid of them because you have inspired them to make content the way that you do. And instead of embracing these fledglings and giving them what should be the air beneath their wings, you crush them, and you think it's in their best interests. The couple of people that are seeing what is being done in the greater community by clicking on those links in those Discord servers, that could mean life or death for a small channel. And as long as it was in the interests of you to make selling things directly to your community more effective, you killed those channels, or at least stopped being one of the reasons that they were living after you inspired them. There's a lot out there that this is true of. If we can't share our work with the community that inspired us to make that work, what kind of community are you building when you push the people that you inspire away? This is something we all need to be very cognizant of. Who are we hurting when we try to protect our community from what we mistakenly think of as being ads? Thank you for your time.